Welcome to the Finding the Magic podcast, where books come alive. I'm Tricia Copeland, a fiction author and host of this show. If you love books, finding great reads, and hearing about the story behind the story directly from the authors, this is the place for you. Whether you like fantasy, science fiction, dystopian, or romance titles, I think you'll find something to love in my playlist. Listen in to discover something magical about a book or two today. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
I'm so excited to have you today. This is Heather Tracy, author. She is a sci-fi author. I'll just say sci-fi for now, and you can tell us. Oh, my cat is like. Hopefully that wasn't bad luck for us, but we'll just hope the internet stays good.
Well, there might be a couple wandering through my screen too. So.
Authors tend to have cats, I have to say. I've noticed
Yeah.
that.
Lots of cats.
So you are releasing your first novel April 22nd, 2025, and I think this podcast will release on that day, so I have it set for that. So I'm super excited. The name of the novel is Only a Chapter. So tell us the premise, how this happened, why you're doing this, all the deets.
Sure. So the elevator pitch for the novel is that it's a what would happen if parallel universe romance with a bisexual main character who has dreams of a faceless romantic partner. And it features some of my own personal journey with breast cancer in a fictionalized way to inform one of the two timelines in the story. I started writing this novel literally 10 years ago, um, which was before I had breast cancer, before I was diagnosed. And the first chapter just of it just came to me and I wrote it furiously and my husband was like, "Oh, that's the best thing you've ever written. Like keep going, keep going." And I kept going and it was a NaNoWriMo novel and whatever. And then I got to the revision process and I'm like, "Oh, the first chapter is really the only good thing about this." you know, and just I need to work on this and I'm not quite sure. There's not really enough heart in it. There's not a good hook. There's not enough story in it. And so I could just kind of let it sit there. But I kept like I loved that first chapter so much and um I really wanted to go back to it. And fast forward and 3 years ago I was diagnosed with breast cancer and wasn't thinking about writing at that time. I was, thinking about surviving, getting through all the treatment and everything. And then I think sometime a year after treatment and everything, I started thinking, what would happen if that call had gone differently? What would my life have been like if I hadn't gotten breast cancer? Where would I be now? And then I thought back to the first chapter of my book, and I was like, what if it starts with a phone call? And what if it's two timelines that, a multiverse kind of situation? And what if in one timeline she's got cancer and one timeline she doesn't? And what if the timelines kind of can see each other, feel each other, that kind of thing. So that's when it kind of really started meshing together for me and just sort of thinking about that. And then because my husband's publishing company, Space Wizard Science Fantasy, is putting out the book, and it's all about LGBTQ science fiction fantasy. I decided, what if she's bisexual? What if in one timeline she has a male romantic partner, and if in the other one it's a female romantic partner? Just kind of playing around with the different ways her life could have gone. And so yeah, it's uh yeah, really cool.
I got like Matt Haig's Midnight Library vibes from. Okay, have you read that book?
I have not. It's on my list, the
Okay,
very long list.
yeah, that is the same premise. like she's really depressed, and then she hits her head, or she tries to commit suicide, I think, and you never really know if she does, because she just goes through this in between spirit place where it's a library, and the librarian keeps choosing books for her, and every different book is a different way her life could have gone.
Mm.
So in the end, do you tell us like how it? I mean, you alluded, I think, in the description, it alluded to a car accident or something. Do we ever learn how she's experiencing these different lives?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
No,
not
I
going to
don't
tell
want
you
you to
how
tell me
because it's
how.
that would
Yeah.
be a huge spoiler, but
No, I don't want you
you
to tell me how. I just want to know if we get to learn how.
yeah, the car accident that's alluded to in the publisher's description on the back of the book is that her parents have died several years before in a car accident, and so she has been dealing with the grief of her losing her parents. And at the beginning of the book, in both timelines, she's in a dead-end relationship with her girlfriend and trying to figure out like what's she gonna do about this? And it goes a little differently in each one based on that phone call that she gets, whether it's cancer or not cancer. And then also she has these dreams, which is also another very personal story for me because I had dreams back when I was a teenager into college of like this faceless man who did romantic things with me, like, took me to Paris or took me to New York to see a Broadway show or, a walk in the park or various things. And he was always wearing a tuxedo, and it was, just really interesting. And then, oddly enough, my husband and I had originally met. No, neither one of us really remembers it, but we originally met at my senior prom, um, where he was wearing a
Wear a
tuxedo.
tuxedo. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
So, and some of those dreams actually did kind of come true in real life, not exactly as I dreamed them, because that would be a little ridiculous. Um, because some of them are very far-fetched, because dreams tend to be like that. But, so I wanted to write that into the story as well. And so the main character, Claire, it has been getting these dreams and she doesn't know why. And in in the one timeline with the male romantic partner, the faceless person becomes male, and in the other timeline, the person becomes female. Whereas previous to this, they've been genderless, and so she wasn't sure like what was going on, and you know had kind of written it off as like, oh, these are just dreams, but now they're becoming more specific, and so she's wondering if it's actually pointing her toward someone specific. So,
Interesting. So, am I going to cry if I read this? Like, is some of it really, really sad?
um, I cried writing it, but I think parts of it for me was going through and writing my cancer story and remembering the feelings that I felt when I was in it. But I don't know. I don't know if the average person would have those same feelings. I think somebody who may have gone through chemo or gone through radiation or gone through testing for cancer, might it might dredge up some of those emotions. I didn't write it to make people cry. We'll put it that way. But then also people who like romance and will get the sniffles at a good romantic scene or whatever, might also, I hope I wrote it that well.
Well, good. I'm a big crier, and not to be a spoiler. Well, I already told you I was a big crier. So, in Matt Haig's In the Night Library, I did cry. So I was just wondering if, there would be those lows and highs, which you want in a book, right? You don't
Yeah,
want it to be so even that nobody cares about it.
exactly. I mean, one of my beta readers said she was laughing and crying, so you know.
That's always a good thing.
I'm like, that's good. I'm glad to have put some emotion into it. So
Yes,
yeah.
definitely. So can I ask if you're a member of the LGBTQ society?
I am an ally.
Okay.
I am a cis hetero person. But my husband is bisexual, so he was my my how do you put it?
Test reader for that
Yes,
aspect of
yes.
the story,
Yeah.
maybe.
The
Okay.
word is not coming to me, but yes. Chemo brain lives on. But yes, he sensitivity reader, there we go.
Sensitivity
Um,
reader, there you go. Okay, yes.
exactly, yeah.
Right.
But yes, but I definitely support everybody being who they are, and love is love. So
Yeah, I was just wondering that because sometimes I had another author on and I wasn't brave enough to ask her if she was in that community and wondering like if you would maybe have pushback if you're not in that community writing about those characters because I had pushback. I wrote very diverse characters and somebody gave me a review that said, oh well, she's not even African American, so why is she writing this character? So yeah, I think it's hard sometimes.
yeah, it is difficult. You have to be very careful. And you have to be very sensitive with writing the other. And writing people that you aren't. But that's why I mean I have my husband for this one. I also had another member of our one of our other authors um, read through for the lesbian portion as well, who is we call them our resident lesbian to read. And gave me a lot of good feedback on the lesbian relationship in the book as well. I hope I got everything right. Um, but you know, there may be people who have a difference of opinion, but I tried to write everything as sensitively as I possibly could.
Well, and everybody's experience is different. So,
Right.
and like I picked that out like it's one of 100 reviews, like,
Right.
and that's the only one that said that book, but it sticks in my mind always. So,
Right. And I mean, like, I wrote the cancer journey from my own experience, but every single person, even going through breast cancer, even that may have had my same diagnosis, their experience may be completely different from mine. So somebody else reading this who has gone through breast cancer may be like, oh, that's familiar. Oh, wait a minute. Well, she didn't get that symptom, or she had that symptom, but I didn't, whatever. But I mean, this is also, I changed some things, I left out some stuff. Like, if I was writing a cancer book, there would have been a lot more in it.
right.
But I was also writing a romance book while going through cancer. So I had to balance it and leave some things out and you know fictionalize it as much as I could. And yeah.
Right. So 10 years ago, when you started this book, did you envision it being just sort of the romance and the back and forth? Is that what it started out as?
Yes, it was basically going to be the dealing with the dead end relationship and the dreams finding the new romantic partner, with just the one timeline. Um, and it just kind of sat there. It was very flat. Um, I rewrote the I mean, I rewrote the whole thing basically, but there are a couple scenes that people who read the original manuscript remembered that were kept in for the new version. And a lot of the characters are the same, but um, the uh, I rewrote the character that Claire was in the dead end relationship with, um, and gave, well, it was a him, now it's a her, and gave her more of a well-rounded story, I think, um, and um, more character. She was previously, well, male, but also just very flat and very one note. And
Okay,
I
you didn't
hope,
get a lot of her there.
yeah. And she does continue through the book a little bit, so you will see her at the end of both timelines to know how the change also affected her.
Okay,
Um, and she will, this will be a series, but each book will be a standalone. But if you read each book, you'll see the characters jump in and out. Um, so the subject of book two will actually be the character that Claire breaks up with in that dead end relationship. So stay tuned.
question. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of romance series do that. Like you're set in a town or something like that, and then like each book follows a different couple's romantic journey. So that's and but you've thrown in sci-fi in there and lots more drama.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, I when I was writing this romance one time, I was like, I can't just write just like a regular, oh, they fall in love romance. So I did like an alternate ending. Somebody called it a speculative romance, but like there were five different endings, and you could, I mean, at the end, she did marry someone, but my intent was that you could kind of pick who you thought she should have married. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I get the whole speculative, what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of my friends said that it was more of a magical realism thing. I'm calling it kind of sci-fi light because of the dreams and the multiverse kind of thing in the first book. The underlying premise of the series will be dreams,
Okay.
for all three books. Dreams will be, they won't be the same type of dreams, um, but uh, dreams will be involved in each of the books, and
Right,
then
the vehicle for their alternate verses.
yeah, exactly. So yeah.
So how did you said this is your first full-length novel. What have you done before this?
So I have written a short story that is in our the Space Wizard anthology Fiery Deeps. It was called Flame Retardant, and it is about a because all of the anthologies that we've done have been lesbian sci-fi fantasy stories with different themes. So this one was fire and feminine power. So I decided to do a superhero story with a main character who has learned that she is descended from Hestia, the Greek goddess of the hearth. And in fact, all of the females in her line are descended from Hestia. And basically, in this world, superheroes are real, and all the superheroes are descended from Greek gods and goddesses. And so she develops these fire powers and she doesn't know what to do with them. And every time she starts having these powers, all of her clothes burn off. And so she
Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah. So she goes to a certain fabric store that I renamed Judy's after my aunt. But you can extrapolate which one I was meaning. Um, Most people can. They're currently going through bankruptcy. Anyway,
Don't have to close them.
well, it's a fabric store.
Oh,
If you shop,
Joann's is going out of business. That's right. Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Anyway, so I renamed them to sort of protect them a little bit, but anyway, and not to get sued. But anyway, I renamed it Judy's and also in homage to my aunt. But she goes in there and meets the seamstress at the counter, the fabric cutting counter lady, and romance ensues, and then there's a villain and all that good stuff. So yeah. And then I am also the in-house copy editor for Space Wizard. We last year hired me some help, so that I would have time to write and do other things. Um, but I'm also the co-editor on all of our anthologies. And I have another short story coming out in our upcoming Lesbians in Space anthology called The Ritter Maneuver. It is an homage to Star Trek, The Next Generation. Um, because who doesn't need some Star Trek
Sure.
fan fiction in their lives?
Definitely.
And yeah, so I've been copy editor for Space Wizard since 2016 when it wasn't officially a publishing company, when my husband was just self-publishing books. But then when he opened the doors to Space Wizard, I started continuing the copy editing process. I
Super
did
fun.
not copy edit my own book though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But I'm assuming you have a background in literature or.
Yes, I went to NC State, which is where my husband and I officially met. And I majored in English, and with a focus in writing and editing. And then I went worked for over 15 years at a construction newspaper, which is a little weird. But I was a copy editor there for a number of years, and then a quality assurance support staff person as well, for a long time, until I decided it was time to leave, and depart the corporate world, and I started my own travel agency. Um, so yeah, because I have also always loved travel and seeing the world, and so I run Melvin's Travel Adventures. And you'll notice, if you read only a chapter, that Claire's also a travel agent.
That's fine.
So, um, yeah, so I specialize in Nerdventures, which I coined. And so, whatever you're nerdy about, be it, going to see Iceland to see Game of Thrones filming locations, which we've done, or New Zealand to see Lord of the Rings filming locations, or you want to go see national parks or castles in Europe, or whatever you're nerdy about, I can make a trip for you. So.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm going to New Orleans for the first time, so I'm walking around like the originals, all the places where they filmed the originals. So that'll be my first sort of like nerd venture, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Super fun. Well,
Yeah.
what authors do you like to read when you're reading?
Um, well, currently I am reading The Martian Contingency by Mary Robinette Kowal. It's in her Lady Astronaut series. I'm super excited. Just started that one. And then I'm also reading By Any Other Name by Jodi Picoult. She's one of my favorite authors as well. I also love Casey McQuiston, Jennifer Weiner, Sophie Kinsella, um, Adam Silvera, um, all the authors from Space Wizard. There's too many to name. Um, my husband, William C. Tracy. Um, yeah, we have a lot of books back here.
Yes, yes. Well, you're like
No,
me. I can
yeah.
read sci-fi fantasy. I can read romance. I don't really like thrillers and mystery as much, but those two seem to be my go-to.
Yeah. Yeah, I read more romance, contemporary women's fiction than I do anything else, but I get my sci-fi fantasy through Space Wizard, and then I have been branching out a little bit more and like reading one of those, and then my husband will say, "Oh, if you like that, you'll like this other one," because he reads all science fiction fantasy. So, getting some recommendations just based on what I'm reading for work, so to speak. But a lot of times it's fun stuff. And then I also do copy editing commissions as well when I have time. So I'm currently reading one for a commission right now that will come out sometime this summer, I believe. So yeah.
Super fun. Well, this is my favorite question to ask authors. So if there's one overarching thing that you would want readers to take away from only a chapter, what would it be in a couple of minutes?
Mhm. Um, I think the main theme of the book is that whatever you're going through, if it's something difficult, it is only a chapter. It is not your whole story. The title comes from how I announced on Facebook that I had breast cancer, and I said, "This is only a chapter. This is not my whole story." So it is echoed in the book as well. But I think that's the theme of both timelines is that it's just one part of your life. So just think of it as that and know that there is something beyond, whether that's, just an end to that thing or, a great thing that's coming after it or whatever, but it's not all of you.
That's such a good message. Yeah, we were just looking at pictures, and my father-in-law was diagnosed with lung cancer a little over a year ago, and my memory came up. He was in the hospital this time last year, and I mean, he was very, very sick from all the chemo he was taking, and we rushed to go see him, and now it just seems like kind of just like a blip and a bad. I mean, he had a very good outcome, and I mean, the
That's
treatment was
great.
hard, but now it just seems like a blip. It seems like, oh wow, that was real, wasn't it? Oh yeah, that was real. And I'm like, so it's so weird, but that's such a good message for people to, and not to let any one thing define you too. Like, and I know
Exactly.
I'm sure it probably feels like it when you're in it, but having that you are more than XYZ
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. I mean, and cancer does follow you forever. Like you are never not a cancer
Right.
survivor from the moment of diagnosis, but you are more than just being a cancer survivor.
That's a
Yeah.
really good message.
Yeah.
I will put a plug in for my friend's organization. She's J Will Pink Village, and she makes pillows for breast cancer survivor patients, I guess, that have surgery. And
Mhm.
so it's a pillow to protect you from the seatbelt. And so she and her volunteers make those and send them all over the country. So it's a really fun thing.
Yeah, those are great. I
Yeah.
had a friend send me one when I was going through
Oh, good.
and getting before I had my surgery, and I used that all through my treatment because you have various times where it's uncomfortable to wear a seatbelt or, you know, just sometimes you just want something to hug.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Well, this has been such a good talk. Tell everyone where we can find you and your books.
So I am in Raleigh. You can find me on Facebook, Heather Tracy, author editor. You can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram as well. Um, Instagram, I'm honeyjar319,
Okay,
which
I
is a
couldn't find you on Instagram, so thank you, honeyjar319.
yeah, and it's HUNNY, so like
Okay.
Winnie the Pooh. Um, and then uh For my books, it's currently available for pre-order on Amazon. It will be available on Amazon Bookshop. You can also go to spacewizardsciencefantasy.com and order it directly from us. You can get a signed copy from me once it releases. We don't do pre-orders yet, but you can order on April 22nd directly from us. We will ship it to you. We also do a lot of markets around in this area. If you sign up for the Space Wizard newsletter, my husband will send it out where we're going to be. And you can come see us in person and meet me and get a signed copy there. And yeah.
That is so fun. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, and hopefully you will come back when you release your next book.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks. Bye, Tracy.
Bye.
Or Heather, Tracy.
Yes.
Sorry. I got that wrong. Bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Finding the Magic podcast. I'm your host, author and podcaster Tricia Copeland, and I love getting behind the scenes. If you like the podcast, make sure to subscribe and stop in each week to discover new authors and books. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep finding the magic.